Dear friends, do you recall the old railway where Duke, Peter, Sam, and Sir Handel used to work? It was called the Mid Sodor, and many engines came and went over the years. 3 engines had more extended stays. These stories will tell you more about them. Yours truly, the author.
The workmen took ages mending the track today. Spent so long in the sun, I'm shocked my paint isn't bubbling. And yet they can stand around resting and cracking jokes. No urgency in them these days.
Does that remind you of anyone?
Oh, yes. I know exactly who.
Well, I don't. And don't go saying it's me.
They mean you sound like an engine from our old line.
Indeed. Go on, Grandpa, you tell them.
This is the story Duke told. Several engines worked on the Mid Sodor Railway throughout the years. Jim was one of these. He was a quiet, reserved type who pulled a goods train called the Horse and Cart. He'd shuffle along the line, stopping as needed to load and unload the wagons. The other engines were preoccupied with their passengers, but always gave Jim a whistle as they passed. Most were cheerful peeps, but one was a rather hoarse hoot.
I only seem to find you in 2 places, the shed or the sidings.
I wouldn't want to block the line.
I'm not surprised with how you meander about. No sense of urgency in you engines nowadays. At least you know to stand aside for those with more importance.
Jim's plenty important. More than you, anyway. Goods are half of what keeps a railway going.
Ha! If filthy trucks were so vital, manager would have assigned the best engine on the line, me, to pull them. Has he done so? Not to my knowledge.
You...
Hold your tongue, youngster. Your manners leave much to be desired. To speak of another engine in such a way, despicable!
Albert's passenger train was called the Parliamentary. It provided residents of the Mid Sodor line with a connection to the big railway.
Your tourist trains are all well and good, but they're fleeting. My passengers will always be here.
The others took no notice. Albert wouldn't have listened to them anyway. One morning, Albert was collecting passengers from the top station. It was nearly time to leave. He was so busy thinking what he'd say to Jim, he didn't notice a young boy had boarded his train.
Come now, let's hurry! Come now, let's hurry!
Albert made so much noise, he didn't hear the shouts for him to stop.
Make way, Runt.
Not very nice at all.
Isn't common practice on this railway for engines to leave important people behind? Thanks to this, I'm going to be late for my meeting with the railway board.
Ah, a savior has arrived!
Pardon, sir? Do do you mean me?
Surely, he's our solution.
I'm really glad to see you, Jim. I don't know what Albert's playing at, but he abandoned me, and a paying passenger no less.
I have a meeting with the railway board, and I cannot afford to miss it. I kindly ask you get me to the junction with haste.
I'll do my best, sir.
I've phoned down to the signalman. You've got a clear run ahead.
Now, Jim, old boy, let's show them how you can fly.
Oh, I don't fancy flying.
There was only the guard's van to travel in, but Jim's passengers were served tea and a share of sandwiches, which they found quite satisfactory.
What is the meaning of all this? We'll miss our connection if... What the blazes was that?
Albert panted into the junction. Luckily, the connecting train had been held, and his passengers raced to transfer over.
How's that for urgency?
Now listen here, you despicable tea kettle. You think you can delay my passengers for a little joyride?
That's far from a proper thank you, Albert.
Sir?
You stranded your guard and a valued passenger, one with quite the influence. If it weren't for Jim, our railway's reputation could have been in jeopardy. You, Jim, are a proper workhorse. I almost didn't believe it was you. I've never seen you go so fast.
Nor have I, sir. A bit too fast, I think.
I assure you. You can take things slower next time. Would you like to pull passenger trains? Perhaps trucks would do Albert some good.
No, thank you, sir. I'll stick with my goods, please.
Very well, Jim. Though perhaps you can have the best of both worlds.
In the end, the manager allowed passengers to buy cheap tickets to travel in Jim's van. No guarantee of arrival times, but it was a ride all the same.
Albert scoffed at it, but we said taking goods and passengers made Jim twice as useful. And that quickly shut him up.
I don't understand. Who was the smartly dressed man? And why was he so important?
But I'll say no more, or I shall spoil the next story.